This is a story about the supernatural.
Shelterwood is the land of dreams. If you want to find something here, you will.
This is a story of disappearances and homecomings.
I know your whole world has been turned upside down, but listen, I was really hoping I could convince you not to go back out there.
Investigating the disappearance of my sister, Sadie DeRosso.
I've never heard of anyone coming back, ever.
Subscribe now to Shelterwood, a suburban gothic, to follow this story.
Do you know what time it is? It's time to go Radio Rental. Radio Rental is a podcast with a collection of the scariest stories you've ever heard, all told by real people. Ooh, terrifying. Radio Rental is available now. Listen for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your stupid podcasts.
Welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and I'm here to read you a bedtime story. This week, I have for you a tale of the supernatural and messing with things you shouldn't be. This is by author F. John Gnixote. This is Voodoo Digi-doll. I didn't mean to hurt him. Not like this. My name is Yolanda. And I really mean it. I mean, I did mean to hurt Terrence, my husband. I did mean to cause him pain, discomfort. But this? Not this. It all just got out of hand so fast. It all started with a stupid game app. I'd found the app through a friend at book club, if you could call it that. A bunch of ladies from the neighborhood got together for a few hours every Wednesday morning to discuss what we'd been reading. After a few meets, it was obvious that I was the only one doing the reading. The rest of them spent about 5 minutes on the book and the rest of the time drinking wine and bitching about their husbands. Trading gossip. Ugh. The wine didn't bother me so much. I'd never been that prude about day drinking. So long as I didn't need to drive anywhere. Though I did not appreciate the looks I got when I hosted. Like it's not enough that I went out and bought wine just to make sure I had it. They have to whisper amongst themselves about the selection. Words like cute or interesting were said to me after disbelieving pauses. And I definitely heard things like no taste and cheap in hushed tones behind my back. More than once I heard the word laborer drawn out, slowly, like thread from a spool, indicating their disdain at my husband's lowly position at the cement plant. I'm younger by far than most of the other women there. Their lifestyles and status in the community already well established. I'm the new girl. Again. On top of being new, we're also a younger couple in the neighborhood. Proud first-time homeowners. Finally. We were so relieved to get approved for a loan and buy our own place big enough for our soon-to-be growing family. It wasn't till several months later that I started to regret buying in a neighborhood. I should have known better. I've always hated people as a whole. I wanted to keep looking and find something more secluded, but Terry argued that the kids we planned on having would do better to learn social skills in a neighborhood with other kids. And since he had lived both with neighbors and without during his childhood, I conceded he'd have a better perspective. I didn't think about my own happiness, though. And for a few months, I started thinking he hadn't either. Men, the only creature that can plan so far ahead while being so short-sighted. Now I had these bitches to contend with.
Hey, check this out,
Felicia had said. It was innocent enough. Felicia was the only other wife in her 20s, so we were expected to click up.
This game showed up on an ad, and all I could think about was how much you'd love it.
She turned her phone to me so I could see the screen. I struggled against rolling my eyes and ensured my bookmark was set before closing my book to pay attention. Pride and Prejudice, like I couldn't recite it by heart anyway. The screen showed a game home screen. An animated woman dressed in some sort of voodoo priestess garb stirred a cauldron with one hand, while extending a voodoo doll towards the viewer, kind of comic book style. Over the top read, Voodoo Digi-doll. There were buttons on the bottom to go to different areas of the game. What's it about? I inquired.
Well, it's kind of involved, but I figured the style of it is all you. You have to assign your doll to someone using their information. That kind of takes a while, but once you get to the game, it has a bunch of reading and educational videos about stuff like witchcraft and like anatomy and like medical stuff. You touch your pin to different spots and it takes you to the information. Then you do a quiz. You can do that as many times as you want before using it, but you have to pass the quiz to unlock the action.
It did sound pretty involved, but I absolutely found the premise intriguing. I've always been a reader, in case you haven't guessed, and I absolutely loved learning. Be it medical knowledge or the occult, it's all interesting to me. I was setting it up that same night. The doll setup wasn't that involved. You could just link it to Victim's social media account. I thought Terry would find it funny that I was poking him with a needle, so I just went that route, rather than hand-typing the long information form out. I thought it was odd he never got any notifications. I dove right in. Felicia was right. By the time I set it all up, started playing, did the readings, watched videos, and answered quizzes, Terry had been home for hours, and I only had enough torment points for a single pinprick. All that was left to do was choose where on the doll. I also found the option to pay tribute to Madame Helmina. But Terry didn't make the kind of money to spend on silly time-passing games. After completing the quizzes, everywhere you pricked would show a brief summary of the effect. I briefly considered targeting Terry's crotch, just for fun. But of all the places to torment, that spot hadn't ever done me wrong. My finger dragged the pin upwards towards the doll's belly and tapped once. The information window lit up and read, stomach/abdominal area. 1 point equals insatiable hunger. 2 points equals indigestion/intestinal discomfort. 3 points equals sharp stomach pains, vomiting. 1 point only caused hunger? It seemed like a lot of effort just to give him a case of the munchies. I dragged lower. Intestinal region. 1 point equals mild intestinal discomfort. 2 points equals intestinal cramping/diarrhea. 3 points equals explosive diarrhea, anal leakage, rectal bleeding. Yuck. That was just disgusting, though a little less boring. Of course, the discomfort wouldn't be new to him due to his affinity for cracking cold beers as soon as he got home. One such loud crack sounded as he did just that, catching my attention. I looked up to see him, shirtless and filthy, setting his beer beside the sink to sip while he started the dishes. After a moment, he turned ever so furtively to see if I had noticed. I almost snorted. The tired display of attempted seduction used to make me melt. His muscles bulged as his tanned arms worked the sponge over the dishes. His pale back muscles flexed, tattoos rippling, obviously on purpose. Still, the emphasis was on used to. The man had no idea what he was doing. He never finished all the dishes, left the pots and pans to soak, completely forgotten. He stacked the drain board in the most inefficient way possible. He really just made a mess and expected sexual favors in return. I swiped my finger along the rotate tool on the bottom of the screen and turned him around. My finger settled on the small of the doll's back and tapped once. Down came the menu. Lumbar, 1 point. Fatigue, aches/pains, 2 points. Sharp/stabbing pains, mild muscle spasms, 3 points. Intense pains, intense muscle spasms, kidney stones. Kidney stones? I couldn't help but think that escalated quickly. Still, I only had 1 point anyway, and with the way Terry worked, back pain was to be expected, and come on. Did I really expect it to work? It was just a phone game to pass the time. I double-tapped it. The screen transitioned to a cutscene of a much more detailed Madame Helmina grabbing the doll up, jamming a pin into its back, and stirring the pin around with a look of fierce joy in her eyes, pearly white teeth bared in her smiling burgundy lips. I looked back up at Terry, hoping against hope to see him flinch or grab his back or something. Instead, he turned to look at me at just the right moment. My face must have been mirroring the animated voodoo woman because his face lit up in a kind of shocked smile. "See anything you like?" he said, wiggling his ass at me. Of course, I'd inadvertently inflated his ego. Again, he was as excitable as a 12-year-old. Ha! You wish. My retort popped his ego more surely than any virtual pin could have. I grabbed my smokes and pot box and hopped up from the couch, headed for the back patio door, our smoking room. "Hey, you ain't gonna wait for me?" His voice had shot up in shock at what he probably saw as a dizzying turn in conversation. "You can't toke anymore anyway. You get piss tested, remember? Besides, I waited all day for your ass to get home. I'm tired. You know where to find me." He breathed an exaggerated, shocked breath at me like he was hurt, and I swung my hip extra wide as I passed him by as a tease. Since the game hadn't worked, I figured I'd torture him in the old-fashioned way. I shut the glass door behind me, shutting out whatever else he might come up with to say, and got to my relaxing. The next day, I kept playing. With my juvenile hopes unsubstantiated, I figured it was still a fun way to learn things and pass the time. I mean, Terry did indeed complain of back pain the next day after work, but he worked a hard job. That proved nothing. So I played, I don't know if the points racked up faster with playing time or if I was just that into it, but within a few days, I was able to perform several pricks rather than just the one. But I was getting bored. By the end of the week, I was almost ready to hang it up when I randomly got a notification from the game. New instrument unlocked, it proclaimed. I tapped the game to pull it up. The pulsing button in the middle of the screen showed what looked to be a piece of cloth. I tapped the button to learn more, and a tab dropped down. Emery cloth, agent of abrasion. That had piqued my interest. Apparently, just about anywhere you rubbed your voodoo doll with it, it left some sort of rash. One point was like a mid-sunburn, eczema, or heat rash. 2 left chafing, painful blisters, or burns. 3 points somehow causes third-degree burns or road rash. Now we were getting somewhere. It's important for you to understand why it took me so long to start to suspect that maybe the game was working. First off, the effects never happened right before your eyes. Something would always happen later, the next day at work or working in the yard. Like I've said, my husband worked hard in a physically intense job, and he wasn't exactly one to pussyfoot around. He ached a lot after hard days. He worked in and out of the sun and routinely came home with new rashes, bruises, and small cuts. Those would mask the handiwork of the next 2 tools: the mallet and the scalpel. More videos, more medical quizzes, more occult knowledge. Honestly, I think it started to darken my mental state. All that dark knowledge, dark thoughts. But I really liked the cutscenes where Madame Helmina would poke, scratch, pound, and cut the doll, either in her hand or against the table. They were anatomic and instrument specific and highly entertaining. Another points option showed up too. Diary entries. I had thought about seeing how much faster I could earn points, but I hadn't even tried it yet. I wasn't comfortable sharing my innermost thoughts with an app. Terry, however, was kind of starting to look rough, and he spent most of his time at home sitting, rubbing out sore muscles, cleaning cuts, and barely helping at all. And he still had the nerve to come home smiling and being cute, showing off his new cut or latest bruise, telling the oh-so-funny story about how the new guy almost got him killed, and laughing. It was like he was trying to taunt me. Couldn't he see I was unhappy? Didn't he know it was his fault? I let him have it one night. I just got so tired of watching him float through life with this chipper attitude, while I felt as if I was trapped in the mud. I think it started over him buying the wrong potatoes or something. Why the hell would you buy regular potatoes? We already have regular potatoes, I inquired of him, maybe a bit more aggressively than I'd meant to. You didn't specify what kind of potatoes you wanted, and how was I supposed to know we already have regular ones? To his credit, Terry had started off pretty calmly, despite the hard edge already forming in his voice. That's it. Show me what you really feel, I'd thought under my breath. What I said aloud was more like, how do you not see them sitting out? Are you blind? No, Yo-Yo, I didn't check to see how many fucking potatoes we had before I left for work at 5:00 fucking clock this morning. My bad. He threw his arms up in a mock surrender. Any reason you couldn't have bought the fucking potatoes all day? There it was. There was what he had been biting back. Resentment. As if all I did was sit on my ass all day. and using his longtime nickname for me, Yo-Yo. I asked him once, when we first started dating, why he called me that. Unless he was tapping into his inner 90s gangster rapper, he'd said, "'Cause of your moods, girl, they go up and down." He'd said it was so animated and endearing, but he was basically calling me unstable. Oh, I'd show his ass unstable. The fight went on for hours, of course, evolving from the potato problem into every problem we'd ever had. I ended up kicking him out of the house by pitching the potatoes he brought at him, one by one, until the last one shattered the glass on the storm door. He retaliated by grabbing the axe out of his truck bed and slamming it into one of the wooden posts supporting our gable roof, where it stuck there, vibrating. Great. One more thing for the sidewalk hens to cluck about. A moment later, I heard his truck rumble to life and rip out of the driveway, and then the neighborhood. He'd never done that before. How dare he? He was the one who fucked up, not me. I'm not the one who can't take simple directions, but he gets to run out and call his work buddies, probably meet him at a bar while I'm stuck here, surrounded by all these fakes. Oh, I trashed some shit that night. Also a first. I think I did well for my first time. The end of which found me face down on the torn apart bed, sweating and crying into the blankets. I don't know how long I laid there, willing my body temperature to lower itself, too exhausted to turn on the fan. In the silence, a notification pinged on my phone, dropped somewhere in the wreckage of our bedroom. I wanted to ignore it, but I didn't want Terry out mad and drinking. He usually was quick to apologize, and if that was the case, I'd rather him drink at home, where he won't have to drive. Lord knows he wouldn't waste money on an Uber to save his life. I found it rumpled in the sheets. But when the screen kicked on, all it showed was a reminder to get my login bonus on Madame Helmina's Voodoo Digi-doll. Why the hell not, I thought. Better than driving myself nuts. As the home screen loaded, one icon seemed to blink red, bigger than all the rest. The diary icon. I didn't have anyone I trusted to unpack all of this with. They're all gossips and snakes. I needed an outlet. Fuck it. This game's been much better to me than any of those bitches. I tapped it open and let it rip. The submit form allowed for 1,000 characters to be sent. It surprised me to realize when I reached it. Wow, right? I've never been much of a writer. I sent it. I could finish it in the next one tomorrow. I almost just logged right out from that screen, but before I could, a pop-up covered the screen. New instrument available, it read. Fuck yeah. I hit it. The hatchet. Whoa. I tapped it once for the info menu. The drop-down states, there are no light touches with the hatchet. One strike obliterates the indicated area. 10 points. Fuck me. I remembered I only had 4 points saved up from earlier, but I went over to check anyway, in case the login bonus gave me more. It was already blinking red, and I literally gasped. 10 points. 6-point diary bonus. Then I swear, the screen flipped to the torment screen all by itself. The hatchet was already highlighted. I jerked my finger back from the screen in alarm. Then, it inched back to hover over the doll. Fuck it. It was just a game, right? I tapped the doll's head. The screen whirled as the cutscene started. Madame Helmina snatched the doll off the table and pinned it roughly to a wooden pole with her left hand. The right hand brought up an old stained hatchet with hair stuck to it, up out of the shadows, grinning her fierce, full-toothed grin with passion and precision. She chopped forward, missing her hand and chopping straight through the doll's forehead. A walnut shell helmet sliced clean in half, and the two pieces fell to each side. That was weird. The doll had never sported any clothing at all before, let alone a helmet. Madame Helmina's avatar let go of the doll, letting it hang, pinned to the post by the axe in its head. It hung a second or two before falling out of sight. I thought, whoa, this was the dopest one yet. I laughed at it. Exhaustion caught up with me. I slumped, still dressed in the unkempt mess of the bed.
This is a story about the supernatural.
Shelterwood is the land of dreams. If you want to find something here, you will.
This is a story of disappearances and homecomings.
I know your whole world has been turned upside down, but listen, I was really hoping I could convince you not to go back out there.
Investigating the disappearance of my sister, Sadie DeRosso.
I've never heard of anyone coming back, ever.
Subscribe now to Shelterwood, a suburban gothic, to follow this story.
Terry never came home that night. He crashed a few hours on a coworker's couch before going right back to the cement plant. I'd hoped he would have called off, came home and slept it off, but I hadn't expected it. Terry thought he was the toughest man on two legs, his own words. I was a little worried, but I knew his crew would take care of him. I just wished he would call me, or at least text. 10 a.m. rolled around. Round time for his first break. 10:02. 10:03. Sometimes he left his phone in his truck. He might have to walk and get it. 10:05. 10:06. Come on. Was he really going to say nothing to me? Just let me know you're alive, asshole. Notification. Not him. Voodoo doll game. Damn it! I swiped it off the screen. 10:11. 10:12. Notification. Still not him. Voodoo doll game. Fucking damn it! I meant to swipe it. But instead, it opened. I growled out loud as it started loading. Watch him try to call and my phone will freeze for running too many programs. I tried to swipe out of it, but a pop-up dominated the screen. Madame Helmina held a book and pen out to me. The words blossomed on the screen in green, sparkly cursive. Wouldn't you like to finish the story? That got my attention. How would an app know that my diary entry was cut off before the end? I dismissed it as it was probably an auto ad that everyone got. I cleared the screen, but another pop-up came up automatically. This time, Madame Helmina looked as if she was seated across from me at a table. She leaned forward, chin resting on the back of her hand, elegant and seductive. The words formed, "Come, child, don't leave me in suspense." I swiped the screen furiously, desperate to get to my home screen, When the phone rang and vibrated at full blast, startling me so bad, I dropped it on the tile floor of the kitchen. Fuck! Don't be broken, don't be broken. I repeated the mantra like a spell as I bent to retrieve it. It rang again, thankfully, and I scrambled to pick it up. T's work displayed across the screen. That's when my heart sank. No. There's no way it was just a game. There's no way I could actually have been hurting him this whole time. No way. I just killed him. I was mad at him, but I still loved him. He didn't deserve... My finger touched the answer button. Hello? Hey, Yolanda, it's Ben. Terry's foreman. So, look, I want you to know everything's all right. What happened? I screamed. I had no time for his dancing around the subject. Now just calm down. It's gotta be... Ben, tell me what happened. Is he... I couldn't say it. What? Oh, no. Terry's gonna be okay. Some of these temp laborers were screwing around on the scaffolding and, well... Terry's fine. But his hard hat ain't so lucky. We're at the urgent care now. Looks like a mild to severe concussion. He'll have to stay home a few days and take it easy. You can come down and see him if you want, but I have to stay and get all the paperwork anyway, so if you want to wait for my call, that's fine too, okay? A wave of... something went through me. A wave of... everything went through me. All the fear... and the anger, and pain, and love, elation, relief. They swirled together in a last whoosh, leaving me breathless and weak in the knees. I lowered myself to sit on the floor, right where I stood. Hey, you okay, Yolanda? Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, fuck. I'm sorry, it's just a lot. Don't worry, I'll take care of him. You call me if you need anything and we'll arrange to get him home. I thanked him earnestly and got the address for the urgent care. I decided to clean up the mess I made in the house before heading out to pick him up. I thought we could both agree things went a little further than they needed to. I just wanted him home. On the way out the door, I realized I never pulled the axe out of the post out front. I gave it a good try quickly, but he'd really slammed it in there. The head was buried. I was in a rush, so I resigned to leave it and just deal with the talk. Maybe pass it off as a damn Halloween decoration. Wasn't like it was the first or the last time I'd have to deal with rumors. At the urgent care, Terry smiled triumphantly through his blackened and swollen eyes. The pain was plain on his face, though I don't know what caused the tears. We exchanged our mutual sorries between gentle kisses and ginger embraces that did nothing to make Terry's boss comfortable. Terry cracked jokes the entire visit, to the doctor, the nurses, patients passing by. We were all laughing to the point where, when the papers were done, we almost felt bad to leave. Terry could do that. Had always done that. I'm starting to think that's what I loved about him. The same trait that made me want to strangle him. That childlike, positive energy is what drew me to him. This evening was easily one of the best we've ever had. We ordered pizza without realizing chewing would make Terry's head hurt, so he had a can of soup. Easy peasy, happy-go-lucky as always. Until my phone went off. The damn doll game. I'd totally forgotten about it. I swear I didn't even touch the icon before the pop-up filled the screen. Madame Helmina rolled her eyes at me, all too lifelike. The green, sparkly script drew itself over the screen. I would have thought you were just as invested in the ending as I am. That did it. I deleted the app. No more dark thoughts for a while. No more creepy messages from virtual voodoo priestesses. No more diary entries. If I had something to say to my man, I'd say it to his face. The storm door rattling startled me, and I looked up to see Terry headed out the front door with the full kitchen garbage. Fuck's sake, T, you're supposed to be resting. He grinned at me through the open air, where the glass panel had been. Uh-oh, better run. He pretended to take off in slow motion and run headfirst into the axe handle protruding from the post in super slow motion. His pantomime brought me to giggles, despite wanting to be mad at him. Just be careful and get your ass back here. He saluted me and walked out of view. I started loading dishes into the sink when my phone chimed again. Ugh, what now? I looked at it and froze. It was the game. I'd just deleted it. But as I watched, not touching the screen, a pop-up started to play. Madame Helmina scrawled on a piece of parchment, then threw it at me. The page stopping on screen to show the words, one line at a time. I understand, child. Endings are hard. So I thought I would help you. Enjoy. I was immediately petrified. What? What even? My thoughts couldn't even process. But all my thoughts flew right out the kitchen window with my eyes in hot pursuit as a roar erupted right outside, right near the garbage cans. Shit! Hey, Bear! Get! Terry's scream broke the silence. I rushed outside before I even realized what I was doing. I burst through the doors, shattering whatever was left of the broken pane with no concern for it. Off and around the deck, I ran to see my T go down with an angry black bear on top of him. He was still kicking and screaming, but the bear snapped down again and again as T dodged its jaws, sounding like car doors slamming with each snap. I didn't know what to do. Our guns were locked up. There was no way I could have gotten one out, loaded it, and gotten back in time to save him. I looked toward the front door. The axe. I hadn't been able to budge it earlier, but now I had no choice. I ran to it, grabbed the butt end of the handle, and tried to wrench it free. No good. I dropped my weight on it, and the wood squealed its protest as the head started to turn down. I planted my feet and pushed up and moved some more. Terry's cries were not as loud anymore, or as often. I needed the axe now. I lifted both feet off the ground, planted them on the post, and pulled with everything I had. 1 second, 2 seconds. The head tore free and I flew backward right onto the hard steps. Pain shot through my back, but a sickening crunch of one of Terry's larger bones and the accompanying scream jolted me to my feet. Axe in hand, I ran at the bear with nothing left but a primal, protective instinct. I charged that bear, screaming at the top of my lungs. It still hadn't looked up at me. I raised the axe, aimed the strike while running, and just at the right time, I swung down with everything I had in me. Time seemed to stretch as the axe arched down towards its target. The back of the bear's head. Down it sailed. But as it did, the bear finally got a hold on Terry's shoulder. It jerked its head hard. All I could do was watch as the axe blade skimmed the bear's head so close it shaved fur and split Terry's face right down the middle. I didn't notice when the bear grabbed me. I didn't even feel as it thrashed me, as it mauled me, as it crushed me. All I could see was Terry's face. Split chin to forehead. His eyes looking back at mine. I don't know what you did to scare the bear off. I don't even know who you are. But I love you for giving me a few more minutes beside my tea. I can hear the helicopter, but I don't think it'll make it in time. Can you pull my hand to touch his? I can't feel it. It's dark and I'm cold, and he keeps me warm. I really love him. I hope you believe me. I didn't mean to hurt him. Not like this. Thanks for listening, and thank you to my author this week, F. John Gnixote. And I really enjoyed this story. It was very original, and what a tale. Did anyone else expect a bear to show up? Because I sure didn't when I first read it. It reminded me of the line in The Winter's Tale by Shakespeare, where it just says, "Exit, pursued by a bear." I don't know why. Anyway, that was a fantastic story. Thank you, F. John Gnixote, for your story. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, you can follow at Scare You to Sleep. If you can follow me personally at Shelby B. Novak. If you'd like ad-free episodes, you can join the Patreon page, patreon.com/scareyoutosleep. And what else? Oh, if you have a story you'd like considered for the show, you can send it to scareyoutosleep@gmail.com. Sorry if you hear a weird noise. There seem to be some rabid seagulls outside my apartment. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm about to live the movie The Birds. I hope not. That movie scared me to death as a kid. Anyway, let's see what else. If you'd like more of me, you can find me on the Bloody Disgusting podcast. That is now available on YouTube. So go check that out. I spend a lot of time editing those episodes for YouTube. So go give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It's the main Bloody Disgusting, the official Bloody Disgusting YouTube channel. So you can find it there. There's a special playlist for all of our videos. I'm slowly uploading all of our past interviews as well that just that we did before we were able to get on YouTube. And what else? Oh, I was recently on The Lady Killers once again. They asked me back. It was so great to spend some time with those ladies. We talked about the movie Swim Fan, and that is out now. So check out the Lady Killers podcast, where we gab about Swim Fan and the craziness that is that movie. I wanted to thank you also for your patience last week for me taking a week off. As I explained to my Patreon members in the Patreon chat, I kind of hit a little bit of a mental wall last week. The Bloody Disgusting podcast is still a passion project only. It is not something that is paying any bills at all. It's not paid yet. It's just a passion project. So I'm trying to make it successful. I'm throwing a lot of myself into it to build that show. And I also have a couple other projects I'm working on, which is great, which is all good. And unfortunately, as I was afraid would happen, I don't want this show to suffer because of my other projects. But unfortunately, last week it did. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, apologize for that. I really don't like that for that to happen. And I, again, really apologize. I sat down at my computer to record. I actually had a dark Reddit I was going to do. I'll just give you a little sneak preview. I want to do a dark Reddit where I kind of go through the iceberg of high strangeness and go through a lot of different moments of high strangeness. And I don't know if you're not familiar with the icebergs, if you're not not to be, I don't mean to be rude, but you can Google it. It's hard for me to explain. And yeah, there's one of high strangeness on Reddit, and it includes some Reddit stories. And I sat and I was just, sometimes your brain just breaks. And then, as my Patreon members know, and some of you who follow me on Instagram, I got a really gross message on Patreon. I had to ban a Patreon member, which does not happen often. I've only had to do it one other time, and that was years ago. And it was some person who was just odd and being really harassing in a different way on Patreon. It was like they joined just to be rude. I don't know. It was so strange, but that was years ago. I hardly even remember the circumstances around it. It was when I had first kind of started Patreon. So I had to ban someone this weekend for saying something incredibly crude and disgusting. And actually, right before I started recording this outro and I was finishing up editing the regular podcast, the story of the podcast, that person found me on a different app on Threads and said something equally as gross. I don't think I've deleted it. I blocked him, so I don't know if it's still there. I can't see it. You may be able to see it. And there was just some talk on their main page of rape, and it made me really uncomfortable, and this person's making me very uncomfortable. So I apologize if I seem a little discombobulated this week. Again, apologies for last week taking the break. I will say really quickly, I did baking this week. I did baking this week. Is that proper grammar? Yeah, I think so. I made a cherry crumble, a little mini one in a ramekin I got at an estate sale. I kind of didn't use a recipe, so quickly I pitted some dark cherries that I had and threw in I think a tablespoon of sugar, maybe a tablespoon and a half, some almond extract and vanilla extract, some salt, and what else? Oh, cornstarch, a little bit, I think a tablespoon of cornstarch. And then for the crumble part, I did oatmeal, or oats, not oatmeal, oats, brown sugar, a little bit more almond extract. I really love almond and cherries together. I also did some sliced almonds and some flour. I did bread flour. I've been really liking the texture of bread flour lately. And I kneaded that all together with some cold butter. And again, I just kind of eyeballed. I'm so sorry. Once you start baking and making crumbles and things, look, things like this, you have the luxury of being able to sort of toss together. Yes, baking is a science, but once you learn the rules of that science, sometimes you can just throw things together. And this turned out fantastic. I think I did it at 375 for about 30 minutes. And again, I used a ramekin, not the tiny little 4-ounce ones, a good sized one. And I don't know how many ounces it is. So sorry, but it was fantastic. I made some whipped cream for the top, just lightly sweetened, that I just whipped up really quick in a mug. Some heavy cream, and threw in a little bit of sugar and a little bit of vanilla. So good. So fantastic. Highly recommend it if you are into baking, or if you have some cherry sitting around, or honestly, any sort of fruit it would work for. Crumbles are just amazing. So that's what I made this week. And I was going to make a coconut, a little coconut kind of thing, like a coconut creme patissier with some chocolate chips. And I really want pie crust, but I don't feel like making pie crust. So I think I might make a graham cracker crust. But I also am feeling kind of, again, not great right now because of this weird person. So I might not. Anyway, I hope you're all having a very safe weekend. My fellow Americans, if you're celebrating the holiday, please be safe, especially on the water and everything. There have been a few very tragic accidents out on lakes and things recently, which I think does happen every summer, but please be safe, be careful, wear sunscreen. It's my time to shine. Wear sunscreen and drink your water, not just my fellow Americans, everyone. And I do also know that some are definitely, and I do not blame you, not really in the mood to celebrate, but I hope you're doing something fun anyway, just for yourself. And I'm gonna go do the same. I don't know. I'm gonna go sit on my patio and think dark thoughts and maybe bake something. I'm just being honest. I like being honest with you. There's no reason to sugarcoat my life for all of you. So I will go, and you're going to go, and we're going to go, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next week. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.
This is a story about the supernatural.
Shelterwood is the land of dreams. If you want to find something here, you will.
This is a story of disappearances and homecomings.
I know your whole world has been turned upside down, but listen, I was really hoping I could convince you not to go back out there.
Investigating the disappearance of my sister, Sadie DeRosso.
I've never heard of anyone coming back, ever.
Subscribe now to Shelterwood, a Suburban Gothic, to follow this story.